Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Friday follow-up in that continuing journey of accountability. Today, you can see this is a different look. I'm going to attempt something today a little bit different while I'm talking to you. A while back ago, I had asked for some suggestions on some of the topics that I could be talking about during these Friday chats, and several of you said, I commented about different recipes that I've played around with and things that I tend to like to eat and research that I've done in preparing different recipes. And so I'm going to put something together while I'm talking to you, and I'm not sure exactly how this is all going to work out. But right now I'm going to just get the frying pan going a little bit, and I'm going to cook an egg. Doesn't sound real exciting, but I need to have that done, and I will explain some of the other steps that I'm going through. So while that pan is heating up, and if you see flames coming up, call 911, and so that'll be all right. But anyway, you can see I've got some different books back here, and I tend to take a lot of my recipes from Topps sources, sometimes maybe from the newspaper, and I just try to do different things with them. These two books, Looney Spoons and Crazy Plates, are two books that I picked up 18 years ago at my first IRD in Ottawa. And I just thought it was fitting as we're getting ready for our next IRD, which will be our first virtual IRD, that it'd be fitting to pull down these books. And of course, the latest issue of Topps News is on the way if you don't have it all already. So I've already cracked the egg because I didn't want to show you my skills on how I crack an egg. And I'm just going to get this cooking right now, and for today's purpose, I just want this egg well cooked. And while that's simmering away, let me tell you the next step. I do like to cook, but I call it experimenting because, as many of you know, I worked 40 years in the laboratory, and I've been out of the lab now for over 3 years, and I kind of miss playing around in the lab, and I can use the kitchen as doing experiments. But like in the laboratory, whenever you're doing experiments, if you're straying away from a prescribed recipe, you really need to write down what you're doing. Because you might come up with a wonderful dish, and then you say, well, what did I change? What did I add different? Did I add more of this or less of that? And that's why I even have my conversion chart up here, because I'm so used to dealing with millimeters and grams and stuff that I tend to translate them back to teaspoon and ounces. So I have that, and when I was working in the laboratory trying different things to test things and write up protocols and procedures, I would always tell my lab students from the university that I was just one lab accident away from being a superhero. So now I just try to come up with different concoctions in the kitchen and be a super chef. So this egg is almost ready here. I did not rehearse this. Anne suggested that I put this all together ahead of time and then just kind of bring out the finished product. But I wanted to talk to you as we were doing this. And what I'm preparing today is not really from any book, except the fact that I get data on how many calories and carbs and proteins and like that. And checking that in a minute here. And but this is just a simple breakfast that I tend to go to when I need to kind of scale back some calories and kind of just jumpstart if I'm in a lull. And you'll see why when I give you my update on our journey of accountability. So that egg is done. I'm going to turn that off so we don't have. And simply, what I'm going to do here is I just use a tortilla. I sometimes will use an English muffin. Try to stay away from white bread and things of that nature, bulky rolls or like that. And this is just a small tortilla, 90 calories, and I'll give you the total calorie. And all I'm going to do is just plop that on the fajita tortilla and just fold it over. Sorry, I went below camera range. And it's just a way to, just a nice little sandwich type thing. And then I'll just add half a medium banana for 50 calories. Half a cup of blueberries. I'm not going to put the blueberries on the plate because they'll roll away. I'll just keep them in the little ramekin there. So that's, 45 calories. And I was a little disappointed this morning. There was no strawberries, even though it's strawberry season. But with 8 grandsons running around, they kind of cleaned us out this weekend. So I found a little bit of watermelon in the refrigerator for add a little color. And that's a half a cup for 25 calories. And I don't think I'm forgetting anything. And this lovely breakfast right here totals 270 calories. Now, if you want to upgrade, you can go with 3/4 of a cup of low-fat yogurt and add another 130 calories, bringing it to 400 calories, which is still reasonable. But later on in the morning, I'm going to have another snack and then something later on in the afternoon. But this is just a quick breakfast to put together, 270 calories. I didn't really get it from any recipes. I didn't want to try something that very challenging this morning as I was working this through. But that's what I do. And I'll take these. I've done a lot of recipes from Looney Spoons and Crazy Plates and modified them and made notes in the margin of the book that I swapped, hamburger out and used turkey, or I changed up the mixture a bit. And the reason why I have to write the stuff down is that I do a lot of crock pot cooking, especially during football season. And sometimes I'll just put a roast or something in the crock pot, and I'll just grab a whole bunch of spices and just start throwing them in. And then at the end of the day, when we have our meal, I go, wow, this was really good. I wish I remembered what I put in or how much. So now I have to write everything down. And again, that's what we tend to do with our food intake. We journal, we write down what we consume during the day. It really helps us for planning. And so I just thought we'd have a little fun doing this this morning. I don't have a journal book. I tend to travel around with index cards, and I've talked about that in the past before. I'll just jot things down. It's just because you think you're going to remember things, but there's just a lot going on, and you tend to forget things. So my breakfast is getting a little cool, and I'm just going to have a bottle of water with my breakfast this morning. I know it's 10 o'clock, but I've already had my coffee at 4 o'clock this morning, and I tend to eat a little bit later in the morning. And you can set your own schedule. Some people do intermittent fasting. Some eat smaller meals throughout the day. Some don't eat anything after a certain time. And I've done it all. I've tried all those things. And I think what I found works best for me is don't try them for long periods of time. I will sometimes go to intermittent fasting for several weeks, and then I'll go to eat several small meals throughout the day. Or sometimes just 3 meals a day on the net quote average times. And it's just to mix it up. And it's just, for me, I tend to sometimes plateau, and it's just a way of tricking my body, which is getting used to a certain regimen, to say, oh, wait, something's different. I got to kick in to different gears and go forward. And the reason why I selected this breakfast also this morning was I feel that I'm getting into a plateau. So that's why I want to change it up this weekend. I weighed in last night and I had a loss. It was 0.6 pounds. So that's good. A loss is a loss. You know, it's never, oh, just, it's, you know, it was 0.6 pounds. And I promised on June 18th that I would give you an update on where I am in my journey to getting my COP status back. And remember, we started off as gangbusters at the beginning of the year. And I thought, well, if the math works out, June 18th, I'd be at my goal. And I obviously could see a couple of months ago that the schedule wasn't going to work. But where am I at today on June 18th, which was my target goal? Well, I've lost a total of 33.6 pounds for the year, and I am 15.8 away from my goal. A little disappointing, but not really, because I'm a lot closer today than I was on January 1st, and that in itself is a win. So I think it was a smart goal to set the way the data I had at the beginning. But as we set our goals, we need to adjust. So here I am, 15.8 pounds away from getting COP status back for the 7th time. That's the way it is, folks. I'm going to set a new goal. We are 5 weeks away from our first virtual IRD. And remember, there's still time to register for this wonderful event. I've seen bits and pieces. I'm actually part of it. Yay. So I've seen that. It's going to be fantastic, folks. It's, again, different. It goes without saying. We look forward to as many people as we can to register for this event. And after, have a good discussion on what we're going to do in the future, where we're going to go with this new technology. Again, I mean, let's be real, folks. Several years ago, when I became president of TOPS, did we ever think I was going to be able to talk to a lot of our members from my kitchen and show them how I'm trying to be a super chef? Things change, and we're going to be working together, and we're going to set smart goals. So again, 5 weeks away from our virtual IRD. I'm 15.8 pounds away from COP status. Realistically, that's a little over 3 pounds a week, and I'm not tracking that way right now. So let's set a goal. Let's cut it in half. Let's make it, well, I'm going to cut it in half. I got the 60. Let's see if we can cut it in half and be at 7 pounds away from goal. My conversion chart didn't work on this one. So let's see on July 23rd when I Facebook chat with you folks. And that evening, we'll be having our first IRD session. Let's see if I can get to be 7 pounds away from goal, hopefully a little bit more, maybe, I mean, a little bit less away or whatever, and then, you know, get there. But let's reassess and then set another goal. Why don't you set a goal? Where are you going to be in the next 5 weeks when you settle in to watch IRD on your computer or your TV? Where do you want to be in 5 weeks from now? Do you want to lose 5 pounds? Do you want to lose 10 pounds? So that when you see folks being recognized virtually and get ready for next year, maybe YouTube can be on the big screen. So I'm going to have to probably warm up that egg now, or maybe just make another one when the camera's off. But I hope you enjoyed the look into, I was going to say my kitchen, but it's Ann's kitchen too, on how I tend to do a quick breakfast so I can go back up to my office and work. And later on, I'll try something a little bit more complex, and we'll do the real TV cook shows where I'll prepare it, but then I'll have one ready in the oven to pull out to show you the finished product. I hope you all have a good day, have a great week, and we'll see you next Friday.